Welcome back, loyal fight fans, to Boxing. I am your host, Tummy Tom, the human body snatcher, and we got a lot to get into today. A lot of great fights coming up over this weekend. But first, please give us that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. Please tell a friend, especially if they're a boxing combat sports fan, in general, MMA, anything like that. If you know anybody that might enjoy this, please, we appreciate it. If you'd let them know, spread the good word. So let's jump right into it here. So first, we're going to cover, there's a couple boxing events that kind of snuck up on me that are happening this weekend. And one of them would be Derek Charosa taking on Alexander Usyk at heavyweight. This is a really great fight. I'm not even positive who's on the undercard of this, because like I said, I'll be honest, this one, I had heard that it was getting made. I had no idea, in complete honesty, that it was going to be this weekend. And then you also have another event. I believe it's under it'll be on ESPN or possibly ESPN Plus. I'm not sure, but from Top Rank and Bob Arum and his guys, they have brought over the Monster from Japan. That's his name, the Monster, Inoue. And this guy's a hell of a boxer. Very, very slick, very good movements, but also aggressive at the same time. And this is going to be his debut here in the States. So this will be a really good fight. A lot of people are really high on this guy, especially over in Japan. So I actually do imagine that this one, even flying under the radar and not too much being on the undercard of it, will do pretty decent, because it's a very, very hyped up guy as for being one of the pound for pound best in any weight class today in boxing. And this is his debut here in the States. A lot of people want to see this guy, and I am one of them. And then it's like those two separate boxing events, those are pretty good, pretty solid, that definitely that I'd watch, definitely that people should watch. And then it's like these are going on at the same time that Showtime is putting on a very big event, with Javonte Tank Davis taking on Santa Cruz. And it's got a good undercard as well. Then the co-main event, you have Cowboy Ryan Carl taking on Mario Barrios. Should be a good fight. Should be a little bit of a slugger there. And then you have one that I think, depending on how, electrifying or not the Tank Davis fight is, this one really might steal the show. Unbeaten Juan Heraldez taking on a fighter that I'm a huge fan of in Regis Prograis, Rougarou. And this one will be a scrap, man. Regis Prograis, he is 24-1, but that one loss, I think only comes because of the being kind of robbed in London against Josh Taylor in his last fight. If you just watch the fight, I hands down think he won the fight. I don't see it as being too debatable. You guys, if you haven't checked it out, you can check out a video that I just last posted about about a boxing event that's kind of controversial. I took a stance on it, and I've kind of even talked myself down to being closer to understanding on it. This fight is not that, man. I really just think it was very biased commentary. If you watch the fight and you listen to the commentary, it is very biased against Regis Prograis, really. And I think while he was just bagging up rounds, they're still talking about Josh Taylor in there. So that was kind of a weird one, man. And I don't think he lost that, and that is his only, technical loss on his record. I'm a big fan of him. He's a former champ. I believe 100% that he'll be champion again at 140 pounds. And Juan Heraldez, is no joke as well. He's kind of got an unsettling vibe before this fight especially, but also other fights that he's had. If you watch him in the press conferences and whatnot. And he is unbeaten. He's 16-0, and won no contest. He's got very good power. He's very fast. This is going to be a really good fight. I say that I want Prograis to win. But I say that truly, that this is probably going to be a very good fight because of who Juan Heraldez is. I believe this one's a slugger and, you know, really could steal the show here, depending on how that Tank fight goes. And then you have Diego Magdaleno taking on Scott Cruz. That should be a good one as well, you know. But that's just the starting of that undercard that'll have, you know, as far as I'm concerned, 3 guaranteed good fights on it. And then, yeah, so Javonte Davis, you know, he has, Tank has been, you know, a big, you know, Mayweather's been big on promoting him all along, all throughout his career. They've had their little ups and downs because they're both big personalities, big egos, and whatnot. But I do think that, you know, because Floyd Mayweather is actually stepping up to be in his corner for this one, I think that that's going to be a really big kind of deciding factor. Sorry about the camera here. I'm trying to do this one on the fly. But yeah, I think that that'll be a really big factor in how this one, you know, plays out. That Floyd is there for him, you know. And, you know, he had a good camp. It's 15 weeks long. He also made weight, which is very good to see, because I will say that, you know, everybody knows this, who knows anything about boxing. Javonte Davis, you know, he's flashy. He's great to watch. He is a knockout artist for sure. He doesn't just throw with power. He throws with intention, and he doesn't really waste too many shots. You know, so, but he has had trouble before making weight at 130 pounds, because really he's a 135-pound guy. And, you know, who knows, as he's still very young at 25. As he gets older, and especially with that little stocky Tyson build that he has on him, you know, he could even go up to 140 someday, you know, and be a real contender, you know, possibly there. But this is his coming out party, because it's his first pay-per-view headliner. And I'm real excited for it, because it is a epic fight. Leo Santa Cruz, you know, I'm no stranger to him and his accomplishments, and you shouldn't be either, because the guy is really phenomenal, and he is kind of one of those Mexican warrior guys. He is 100% battle tested. You know, this is an exciting point of this, is he's fought guys before, and he will tell you himself, I think he's even said that maybe not as dangerous as Tank, but that same style. Like, maybe not as good as Tank, but dangerous is maybe how I should say. He's fought a lot of guys like that before. His thing is to, you know, be a volume striker, not a power guy, and really, really go for it in the later rounds, but slip a lot of shots and use very good defense throughout the fight. He's an excellent, you know, technical boxer, and his strategy here is to drag Javonte into the later rounds, where he hopes to then take over. Some good and bad here from Tank Davis's side of things. I think that you know, regarding the last fight that Tank had, fighting Uriah Gamboa, you know, that went all the way to, not to decision. That went all the way into the 12th and final round, though. And that is the first time that that's ever happened, because Javonte usually gets people out of there either early or to mid-fight. Never even later in the rounds period, never mind the final round, the 12th round. But, you know, Tank had explained this, and I'm kind of with him on this, where, you know, where if you watch that fight, you know, Gamboa, you know, certainly, you know, he had some rounds there, little moments and stuff, but really it's more of a survival thing. He was moving around a lot, and he was, you know, no shade at all on Gamboa, and I'm actually a fan of his. You know, Uriah is a really good boxer, but it is no shame on him. It's just that it's true. That's, you know, what Tank said there. That's very true. If Gamboa's being honest, he was fighting a fight where he was trying to hang in there until the decision, not get taken out of there. Especially as the fight went on later, he was intentionally just trying to, survive and hang in there and bring it to a decision. Where, I don't know, maybe he could hope for something. But, and plus you never just want to get taken out. But he didn't last. He wasn't able to. He just lasted longer than other people, and he got taken out in the 12th round. So people look at that and say, oh boy, and look at how that one went. Maybe Tank, not falling off even, but people just saying, that one was a different one for Tank. And I agree, but you can take a lot of good out of that, I think, because, that's showing you, right, that a guy who is a knockout artist, who likes to take people out of there early, can actually, hang in there and for 12 rounds and continue to buy and still be dangerous to, knock a guy out in the 12th round. That shows you a lot. I took that as a good thing, personally. And I'm really looking forward to those fights. Again, that's at 130 pounds for both belts. The WBA 135-pound belt that Leo Santa Cruz has, and the 135-pound belt that Javonte Tank Davis is bringing with him, coming down to 130 here. Long-awaited, and predictions, on this one aren't as much predictions or picks as that. I would definitely take Tank Davis in this because I'm a fan. But that Prograis fight, that's really going to be a banger, man. Look out for that fight, right? Because Juan Heralda is going to bring it as well. These guys, I think, are really going to scrap and put on a great fight. And that one's more just wanting Prograis to win. That, I'm telling you, is a very competitive fight. Something that I don't want to say is rare, but, a lot less than it used to be in boxing, to put on real contenders who either guy could win. That's one of those fights. And then, you have, the Derek Charosa, taking on Usyk. You have the monster, Inoue from Japan, making his debut at Top Rank. And then you have a UFC event as well, which I, am kind of glad to say. I think boxing has the better events. That's a lot of fights that are coming out for boxing just this weekend. A lot of great fights. UFC has a fight night, but not exactly, not exactly a pass for them either, because they have a pretty good card as well. Anderson Silva, the Spider. This might be his last fight. That's kind of what it's being billed as. And so I hope the best for him in it. But it's a tough fight against Uriah Hall, who is a little older but has been, a competitor all throughout. He has had no time off. He still gets wins in there. He's a very good fighter, and it's a chance that it could even be ugly for Silva, but I want the best for him. I want him to win that fight. Bryce Mitchell taking on Andre Feely, touchy-feely. Bryce Mitchell getting the camo shorts for this one because after his last win, Dana White approved, and so you can have your camo shorts now. So that's going to be pretty cool. Andre Feely, Bryce Mitchell just on a roll, right? Just on a roll. A fantastic fighter. But, Andre Feely, this is going to be a good fight. This might be the best fight if I had to pick one on the card, honestly. People, of course, you're going to want to tune in to see Anderson Silva in there alone because the guy is a living legend. But the actual, as far as competitiveness for the fights, I think this one's gonna take it home. Bryce Mitchell and Andre Feely. Feely will definitely get in there and scrap with them. He is a very scrappy guy on the feet, and not super, pretty technical actually, but it's weird because he uses it in a brawler kind of sense a lot of times. Then you have Maurice Green taking on Greg Hardy. I could take it or leave it, but cool to see Greg Hardy. They're trying to make a name out of Greg Hardy. So maybe that's one you're interested in. And then another actually good fight here is Bobby Green, who I'm a big fan of, taking on Thiago Moses. That should be a good one as well. I'm going to go for Bobby Green in that one. And then, so that's a lot of fight events right there that are coming up for you guys. Yeah, It's going to be good. I do want to touch on, I guess I'll do that. Let's talk a little more about these fights. These are really good fights, and I'm excited that it's going to be a good weekend for boxing. I'm excited for the Tank Davis fight. Santa Cruz is going to try to drown him in deep waters, take him into those later rounds at a lower weight that he has trouble with a lot of times, though he did make weight, Javonte, which is a big relief. And Javonte is going to try to probably take Santa Cruz out of there early, especially because that's his style. That's what he does anyway. And then this is also his first pay-per-view headliner. He's also got Floyd in his corner for this one. He's got a lot going for him in this one, and he's got kind of the world at his feet. If he wins in general, really it's great for him. But if he has a fantastic performance here and KOs Leo Santa Cruz, that's going to be fantastic on his first pay-per-view. The kid could straight rocket to a star, and more people should know about him already, I feel. True boxing heads have known about him for a long time, as well as Santa Cruz. If this would be an enormous win for him if he is able to beat Javonte, and it would surprise me personally, and it would open my eyes even more to him. But I think either way, a very competitive, very good main event there. And the Prograis fight, really looking forward to that as well. Usyk versus Charosa, I'm going to take Usyk. I think he's great. He's kind of the bigger version of Lomachenko in that he is Ukrainian as well, in that they know each other, are somewhat friendly or friends, in that his style as well, especially for a bigger guy, is very technical and very good. And Charosa is a really great name to fight, so this is a good fight for him. You might see Usyk versus Joshua, at some point, is what I would say. Or unless they somehow put together a weird thing where they do the Fury Joshua, but it doesn't sound like they will do that now, who knows? But that, I personally think that they should just do Fury versus Anthony Joshua. Because, yeah, I think that's the fight to make. But, they probably won't. Who knows if they'll skip over, the rematch clause that they have somehow and find some loophole in it for Deontay Wilder. Fury just wants Joshua because he thinks, to him and to his credit, I don't disagree that he's, that first fight, and with Wilder, an epic fight, but he did, win almost every round of that fight except for the 2 that he got knocked down in. But those knockdowns count a lot, so I wasn't super mad at the draw. But if you wanted to be really technical about it, you would realize that, the way that scoring works, round by round, Fury won that fight. But again, that was such an epic fight, and the fact that Deontay didn't just have 2 rounds, he had big rounds with huge knockdowns in them, is a testament to him and that was his whole ability too. He was never going to outbox Tyson Fury. He has the power, and he put that to use in a fight. But then you have your rematch, and Fury just turns it on him, gets him out of there, pretty quickly. I forget now, was that the 7th round or the 6th or something like that? But yeah, gets him out of there. The fight does not nearly make the distance, and it was dominant from start to finish with Tyson Fury, who also, we all have known has all the boxing skill in the world. Really wowed didn't wow me that he won, but wowed me in the way he did it. Just completely changed to a bully style from a technical boxer and just got him out of there. So I do think that that's the fight to make, is Fury versus Joshua. But who knows if we see that first or we see the other. But you're going to see Usyk in there. So whatever fights they do and whatever guy comes out on top between the Fury or Wilder or Fury Joshua, or depending on what happens first, you're going to see, the guy who leaves those fights on top face Usyk. You're going to see that. So keep your eye out for this guy, Usyk. And I'm very interested in seeing what the monster is all about and what he can do. You know, I've obviously seen him before, but I didn't live in the moment there. I've just heard about him, then I look up his fights. But this is his debut in the States, and I'm excited. I'm very excited. You should be too, to see this guy, because he's something else. This is a slick, very technical guy who also can brawl, who has a lot of power. And you know, he's a 140 pounder as well. So this is just ridiculously, you know, getting ridiculous with how, in a great way, of how many fantastic fighters and big names. Thank God, you know, boxing is breaking out a little bit in this way. I'm telling you, because I see it happening. It's not like it's huge right now, but it's going in that direction, and it's been going in that direction for the last, you know, year or 2 years, where you are, you know, people are more aware of these guys. They've heard of, even if people are not boxing fans, chances are they've heard of, you know, Javonte Davis, or they've heard of Lomachenko, or Devin Haney, right? And now you got the monster. A lot of people talk about him making his debut. He's in, you know, in the talks of those guys' weight classes and fights we can see. You have, of course, always Terrence Crawford there. You have so many great. Then you have your secondaries to those, you know, champions, literally, that are right there, that are gonna get title shots, and you know it, like Regis Prograis. You know, you could mix up any of these guys, any of those names I mentioned, and put them in fights with any one of each other, and it's a fantastic fight. You know, yeah, so it's a big week for boxing. And then before we go here, I did also want to touch on the Bellator card that happened last night, Thursday night, which was Bellator putting on a pretty good card. I think, now I don't, forgive me, but I don't remember because I didn't watch the fight, who Pitbull fought, but he's a fantastic fighter. I think it was Patricio, not Patricky. But he's a big name from Bellator. He was on the undercard, though I didn't get a chance to see that fight. And then one that I did see, Gegard Mousasi taking on Douglas Lima. I was very excited about this, because here's the thing too, like I've said before on the channel, I want to make fight fans, you know. I want you guys to be interested in the fights. I want them to put on the best things, and part of that is that, you know, I don't have bias towards organizations. You know, it isn't biased to say that the UFC is better than Bellator. It just isn't. You know, they do not only bigger numbers, but they have more good fighters. But one thing that a lot of people that don't watch Bellator at all or don't know about them is that they have fantastic fighters too, and they are not, they are on the level of UFC. They have fighters that are on the level and could possibly even beat the very best in the respective weight classes of the UFC. But here's the deal, is that they just don't have as many. But I'll tell you, 2 or 3 of them really is those people I just named. You know, Pitbull, he's in the talks for that. He could beat up all these featherweights I think he fights in. And then you have this was a middleweight bout. But you had Gegard Mousasi, who's fought at middleweight for a while now, and is one of those guys, a great fighter, taking on Douglas Lima, who is a welterweight, who has come up to middleweight, going up 15 pounds to try to take out Mousasi here for the middleweight belt. And I was so excited. I got to tell you, though, I want Bellator to do well. You'll notice the last time I touched on a Bellator event that they had, that it was a good card. When you look at the card, was their, you know, France debut for MMA being legal for the first time in France, and it had MVP on there, and you had you know, Czech Congo, who is French, you know, coming home party for him. He ended up losing, but it also wasn't the most fantastic fight. And then that MVP fight was simply lackluster. Was just, there's no way around it. And I'm talking to you as a fight fan. I can always, even from that fight, I mean, I can always dig deep enough to see things in it that your casual fan or somebody who doesn't certainly know anything and never watches combat sports can't see. And then, oh, come on, more punches, this guy's running around or doing. Of course, there's things that you pick up on when you're a real fight fan, when you've been watching these fights for a long time, that you can appreciate in any fight. And of course, there's ones I can pick from there, but we can't be, we got to be real here in saying that was a lackluster fight, disappointing. Well, here we go again. I thought that I'll be honest, I thought there was no way that this one would be lackluster, because these are like my favorite guys in Bellator, in Douglas Lima and Gegard Mousasi. And this was a big title fight, and these were the two huge names. This was one of on an extremely short list of the greatest fights that you could possibly make as a fan favorite fight, anything like that, for matching contenders up in Bellator. I was so excited about this. Yeah, it just didn't, there was a little action there at the end from Lima trying to push the pace. He had other moments, short moments in the fight, but he had to be careful of Mousasi. And then you had Mousasi who, honestly, it's like, dude, you're playing the same game where you're saying, oh, I got to be careful of Douglas Lima. Of course you respect him because Douglas Lima is a hell of a fighter, but you're a hell of a fighter too. You're saying that you're not only equal in competition, but that you're better. And then you add the fact that you're a middleweight and Lima is coming up. He's a smaller guy and he looked noticeably smaller, when you just looked at them in there. Yeah, he played the same game as Lima that Lima did, which Lima, had to do. But then it makes a lackluster fight. It does. There were good moments in the fight, but Mousasi comes away with the win there. It is impressive, no matter what I just said there, because you have a W now as well over Douglas Lima, and Mousasi has some pretty good Ws, and that one over Rory was extremely dominant. And this is also part of the reason of why there's no shade here. It's impressive, but I kind of also was wondering, why didn't, Rory McDonald is a hell of a fighter. He is an epic fighter that's been through, the very best in the UFC, is one of the two parts that makes up that fantastic, epic, one of the greatest of all time fights, in a top 10 for sure, and probably in your top 5 even for a lot of people, in when he fought, when McDonald fought Rory, but that second fight too was just so epic. And he's a great fighter, Rory McDonald, and when he's a welterweight, when he went up, this is the same story as Douglas Lima, a fantastic fighter, great wins on your resume, a very big name as well, even outside of how big names are in Bellator, just a big name in general. UFC fans that never watch Bellator guarantee they know who Douglas Lima is, and Rory McDonald. It's kind of the similar story. And then you had Lima here going up from welterweight to middleweight, which is what Rory McDonald did to fight Gegard Mousasi, the same person. And when Rory did that, Gegard just absolutely threw him around the ring and just showed that he was so much bigger that it couldn't even be competitive for a moment. And then you had, Lima doing the same thing, and Gegard was just different and careful through the whole thing. But he comes away with the win. Either way, he comes away with the win. So, yeah. And, again, those are kind of our picks. There's no, money bets on here for me. Not for a while. Be real selective about that. But these are my picks is Prograis over Juan Heraldez, but I'll start there because I'll admit that it's just more what I want. This is an extremely competitive fight. And then I have Javonte Davis over Leo Santa Cruz, although, again, a very competitive fight. I have Usyk beating Charosa. I'm pretty sure about that one. But certainly in these times, I've been proven wrong a lot just recently. So you never know. You never know in combat sports. And then, anyway, I have him running away with it because I've seen, and you should go see that guy fight, the monster, and I'm excited about his debut here in the States. For the UFC, I don't know. I'm actually not gonna make picks because I'll make Bobby Green over Thiago Moses. I'll make that pick because I'm confident in that one. But then the Andre Fili Bryce Mitchell fight, like I said, is gonna be probably a very good fight because it's so competitive. It's two guys that are very good. I'm not even going to make a pick in that one. And then the Anderson versus Uriah Hall, we touched on this. I just want Anderson to win. But, I am not going to make him. I'm not going to make a pick there because I'm not picking him to do that. But I very well don't want to pick against him because I really would like him to go out with a bang. It seems like that's what he wants. And maybe we can just kind of move it along there because I don't want a sad, long BJ Penn kind of thing before retirement, where he just keeps taking losses, and doesn't know when to stop, and just ruins his record when he is a living legend. I don't want to see that happen again. But yeah, so those are our picks. Again, please hit that thumbs up button for us, hit that subscribe button, and tell a friend. And if you want me to touch on any topics or you have any questions at all, please drop them in the comments. Really, please drop them in the comments and I'll get to them. I try to be very fair about things. As long as you're not being super disrespectful, you can disagree with me even highly. Let's have some fun here. I'll touch on whatever questions any of you guys who are watching this video have. Just drop them in the comments, or topics, even if it's not in the form of a question, something you want me to get to. But till next time, folks, this has been boxing. I'm out. Enjoy the weekend of fights.